if we're watching the game on X, there has to be trending hashtags that bring attention to Epstein and to Israel at the same time. As far as
yeah. I mean, I don't know about your timeline, but the only thing anyone on my timeline is talking about is Epstein. I've been through the files. The files are nuts, right? There's so much weird stuff going on. I have spent hours and hours digging through them. Of course, the DOJ makes nothing easy for you. I mean, they've actually removed, for the most part, even now, when you go to click into a file, you have to actually open that up into a new tab, because if you click in and you try to go back, it will have wiped your search. So you won't be able to like save your spot even in your search. That's super frustrating. They took that component away sometime yesterday morning. Like in the middle, I'm like sitting here cataloging stuff, you know.
The deputy AG coming out saying, yeah, we're not pursuing any further charges. It's like, what? They won't even hang one person out, not even one. They're like, you know what? This one went way too far. So what have you uncovered? Because there's a lot of different angles to go in. The angle that I decided to focus on, just because I'm a Floridian, was obviously the Alexander brothers, because I think that that's a huge story and we're going to continue to talk about it.
Yeah.
What did you uncover in terms of the further digging in on the aspects of what the extent of this latest drop on the Epstein files is all about?
Right. So something I'm really interested in is the modeling company that he started with Jean-Luc Brunel, who it was of Carine Models International. He's a French national. He was pretty much the largest modeling recruiter in the world. He ran the largest modeling agency in the world. Carine Models is like responsible for Claudia Schiffer, I believe Naomi Campbell, like really, really big names that you've heard of. So he and Epstein get together in 2001, and they form this new modeling agency, I say, MC squared, or MC2 is the way it looks, but it was supposed to be like a play off of E equals MC squared Epstein, obviously. So, there's so much heavy focus on Florida. If the high school girls in Florida were really, that's like his personal kink thing. Obviously wrong, obviously illegal, obviously should have been thrown into prison, but you don't find too much like trafficking of those girls. The girls that he was trafficking were these Russian immigrant girls, these models that they had lured over, these Eastern Bloc girls that they had brought in on modeling visas at very young ages. And these girls, they're picking them up at 14 and 15 years old. Their parents are obviously poor. They're struggling post-Soviet Russia, Eastern Europe. And that's how they were trafficking girls to elites. And obviously those girls, no one has pursued them, right? We have them. They're all over the files. We have them. He's running up these enormous bills, very weird bills as far as like the dentistry. That's the thing everybody was talking about today. It's like, this dude is going to the dentist like once or twice a month. He's booking $20,000 visits to the dentist. Obviously, a lot of this is not dentistry work, what they're doing. Some people are saying it's like, nitrous. Some people are saying it's ketamine infusions. Of course, there's a lot of other darker things, but we do know that he's doing a lot of weird stuff, but he's hooked up with some really shady characters, some of whom are currently still in the current administration. So you have this Paolo Zampoli, who is the Trump administration's ambassador for like greater business or something like that. He used to be the ambassador to the UN for Grenada. It's very bizarre. Or no, for the Dominican, his ex-wife was the ambassador to the UN for Grenada. You
gotta love that they get these jobs and they just jump around from place to place. Yeah.
So Zampoli he's the guy, he claims to be the one who brought Melania over and introduced him to Trump, right?
I'm sure you would agree. I think it's too obvious now that she was either trafficked in some capacity. There's something there as far as what the origin of how she ended up in Trump's orbit to begin with. What are your thoughts as far as what Melania's kind of origin story is all about?
Well, so there's two stories, right? So this Zampoli guy who ran it's like ID Models, another modeling agency. Everyone seems to own a modeling agency, which is just bizarre in and of itself, right? But he's always claimed he's the one who introduced Melania to Trump. Now, things have come out in the Epstein files. I haven't reviewed all of them that say, no, actually, it looks like Jeffrey Epstein had a big hand in bringing Melania over or introducing her. There's this very weird connection with David Copperfield, who is really, really in the mix with all of these people. And he's had a lot of very shady things that have happened he owns an island, right? And so
I've always heard that Copperfield is a very lechy oddball of a guy, really inappropriate in a lot of ways.
Right. So he keeps popping up, right? He's always at these dinners. He's always so I'm reading an article today about Zampoli, who he says that it was Donald Trump and David Copperfield who convinced him to go into real estate. So he's running all these models and then he gets his real estate license, right? So Zampoli's entire shtick is that he takes his models and when they age out, he makes them into real estate agents. Okay. Which adds a whole new, very, very weird layer, right? And so, start digging at this, but there's something else weird going on with this guy, this Zampoli guy, because he has this ex-wife, right, who he has a very nasty custody battle. She is she's a Brazilian national. She's here in the U.S. for a long time. The Trump administration snatched her up last June, threw her into ICE detention, and has deported her to Brazil. Now, she has a green card. So we don't even know how this happened, right?
Well, we kind of.
Well, we do, but it's very interesting because, supposedly I haven't looked into it. I'm not going to vouch for this woman or anything like that. But there are some people on TikTok who have gotten in contact with her, and she's just started spilling the beans about all of these modeling agencies and how it's all just a front for prostitution.
Well, I can tell you, as somebody who lived in South Florida as long as I did, and I can still remember the ads that I would see on TV going all the way back to the early 2000s. And then you have just all of these different places that pop up and all of these, networking events. And again, Miami, of course, it's a stomping ground for human trafficking, sex crimes, all of that stuff. But there's a lot of other places throughout the state where this problem is just universal because it's an international hunting ground. It's also one of the two places in the country whenever there's a major event like the Super Bowl, there's two places. There's Vegas and there's Miami. And you are always told as a woman, if you are going there, do not go alone anywhere under any circumstances. It's like a prerequisite that you could be captured, trafficked, attacked, all of it. And the idea that that's such a common thing and you're not thinking, well, the average criminal isn't smart enough to know how to operate this. There has to be an enterprise of some kind that goes up the ladder even higher. And the story that I think is really worth getting into here, which I think we probably always thought was true, but we were always told to shut the F up about it, was Pizzagate. To me, I always believed that where there was smoke, there was fire. And it's kind of like with BDS. I always say, what's the one thing you can't talk about when it comes to dealing with the Jewish Zionists is boycott, divestment, sanctions. And now what you're seeing is very much like Seth Rich, you cannot talk about Pizzagate, not allowed. And then as far as I'm concerned, okay, we're not allowed to talk about it. That means we should be talking about it.
Right.
So where are we on Pizzagate?
So Pizzagate is, and I'm certainly not an expert, I've been mutuals with Liz Crokin for a long time and I like Liz, I'm a little quirky. So sometimes she says things and I'm like, I don't know, that feels a bit much, but I'm always open to hearing anything, right? Like, why not? It doesn't hurt anyone. It's not hurting anyone to talk about weird stuff that you're seeing, because so much of this is just not normal. I'm sorry, it's not normal for adults to invite other adults to pizza parties. That's not a thing. Adults don't do that. I'm a normal person. I've asked several people that I know, just like regular normie people, like, do you ever use the term pizza party? So what we see in these Epstein files is that they're having pizza parties, specifically inviting other adults to pizza parties. So, and we absolutely do know that this is in the FBI's, they have terminology about child sexual predators, that they do use the term pizza to refer to children. I'm not an expert on all the terminology, but I know that there's like references to like toppings and things like that. And these files are replete with references, random references to pizza, right? Just, the really famous one is this Epstein. Somebody messages him. Of course, it's blacked out. They were only supposed to black out things that were, a threat to national security, which really is concerning if you think about all of the names that are blacked out in these, files. You've got to and from messages that totally blacked out. And it's like, why are these even in the file? Did he collect this from someone? Because presumably these are just his emails or his assistant's emails. Right.
When I look back on what happened in the summer of 2016 and everything because again, at the time, you were obviously very much into Trump. I was very much into Bernie. And I knew that there was something wrong. And I still remember where the inflection point came in and the split between Bernie and Trump really happened. Trump came out and said, listen, if you don't stop, I'm totally going to leave and run as an independent. And they all got in line. They said, if it writes Priebus, he said, listen, if the people want Trump, then that's the way it's going to be. Whereas Wasserman Schultz was like, no, we're going to fuck Bernie anyway, no matter what the people say. And so when it finally was revealed on the eve of the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia that, in fact, the files that were released actually indicated that, yes, they did rig the primary against Bernie Sanders. But the undercurrent story, which was really why Seth Rich had to be removed, was that he revealed Pizzagate. And that's where it started. That's where Podesta was caught in the middle of, hey, we're going to have pizza and grape soda. And it's like,
grape soda,
what the hell does that mean? And so now you really have to think that this whole story is like coming full circle from way back when. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Well, for those who don't know, so when the DNC emails leaked, right? Of course, it was being ran by Podesta. I think his password was like password 1 or something crazy like that. It was so nuts.
It was right out of Spaceballs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life. But that's what it was.
Right. And so, the emails that Podesta was sending to others, and they were saying, it would be a totally normal, like about a meeting. And then it would say, I think I'd like a piece of sausage pizza tonight. Totally random, stuck at the bottom. Like, what are you guys talking about? What are you talking about? Or, another random email about work. And then at the bottom, I had so much fun eating pizza with you last night. Can't wait to do that again. And it's like, what are you guys talking about? Then you have this like whack job guy, right? That comes out and he's like, oh, they're keeping kids, they're trafficking kids at this Comet pizza place, right? He goes, and apparently this guy's like an actor. He goes to the place, fires one shot with his gun, which just so happens to hit the computer of the Comet Pizza, totally destroys all of their files, right? Only thing that happens, okay? He goes to jail. He gets out of jail. And then just last year, right before Trump is sworn in again, he's in a traffic stop in Western North Carolina where he is killed by 2 police officers in a confrontation. Right. So he's like out of jail for, I think he was out of jail
for like their life, Mel. They feared for their life.
We don't have any body cams, I believe. So again, this is just, it's nutso. This is crazy world. everybody's supposed to just pretend like all of this is normal. You know, you got the Michael Tracy's of the world out there telling you, well, where's your smoking gun? You know, if you don't have, apparently, if you can't provide him with like a ledger and then signatures and receipts for things, like he doesn't, you know, they don't want to believe it. And it's, I don't know. At this point, there's so much, because again, there's so much smoke, right? It's everywhere.
It's just too obvious.
It is. You've got him sending emails saying, I need you to give the dentist $20,000, $20K. Send the dentist $20K. All right. You've got him, and then we've got another email, send the dentist $65K or $6,500. We've got tens of thousands of dollars. And presumably this is all for Epstein, which who needs that much? Even if you had a full set of veneers, like you do max out. And I think it's like $30,000 for veneers. Right. And so it's, sorry, I got distracted. I know. Why? What's up with no likes, guys? Come on.
Smash that like button if you haven't done it already.
I know. Yeah.
As many people as possible. So please, if you're here, smash that like button, please.
But so you've got all of these weird things going on. There's some really weird emails talking about inviting Epstein to, there's this couple, the Dubin, I believe it is their last name. She invites Epstein, says, why don't you come over this weekend? My daughter's going to have 5 of her friends over. Her daughter's like 15 years old at this time. You know, it's holy crap. Another email.
From a woman's perspective, because I always try to put myself in a position where I can even think like a woman for 5 seconds to understand what that pursuant attitude is like when you constantly have to be looking over your shoulder. What are they saying? What are they thinking? And all the while, I'm just thinking, pursuing children, do you think that this is a kink? That these are all just pedos? Or do you think this is like, we're so rich, we're so powerful, no one can touch us? What haven't we done yet that we could do? Why don't we kill some kids? Why don't we cook them? You know, it's like, I don't understand. How do you see it?
So I saw someone say once that apparently that Epstein had a kink for innocence. He liked to ruin innocence. So he was very turned on by like braces and things like that, right? Number one, that's just demonic. You have something wrong with your spirit itself. You know, this isn't even like a mental thing. This is an actual, like I do believe in good and evil. And I believe that you were spiritually corrupted at that point. Right. So, for me, like as a mother, I'm thinking, I don't know, you know, I don't even let my daughter, like, I don't want her like out in anything where I think that it's even like, I don't like the idea of like men luring at her. Like it's bothersome. Right. So I of course, cause what can you do? I try to protect her from my end, but the idea of like just offering up or inviting over, it makes me sick to my stomach thinking about like, if my daughter, of course, I know all her friends and the parents and everything.
But I think what it comes down to more than anything else is that there is illicit human behavior that is considered to be in the shadows. We're also living in a time where the elites have gotten to such a point of excess and invulnerability, invincibility, if you will, where it just becomes, what if I did this? Could I get away with this? Not necessarily that I'm interested in this, but I just want to try it to see if I can get away with it. And to me, I think there is the allure of that component of being at the absolute top of society that drives people to do these things. That's why you hear the stories about people just being completely reckless when they drive, when they travel, how they spend money, whether they use protection when they're having sex. It's just different things that for somebody who's a grounded individual and is normal would look at this and think, this is insanity. I could never conduct business like this. But we are also living in a time where I think the population is starting to wake up to the realities of just how disconnected and how far attached the elite class truly is. And its separation in terms of the wealth gap is at such a level of insanity that
Yeah.
you have people that can they can change countries if they wanted to.